Marketed as a safe, over-the-counter morning sickness sedative, thousands of pregnant women took it worldwide, and in time, thousands of babies were born with horrid birth defects. But this dark past is only a chapter in this complicated tale. The tragedy of thousands of limbless babies goes hand in hand with the triumph of millions being saved by the same drug. This is the story of thalidomide. Our story starts in Germany in 1946. Only 1 year after the close of World War II, Hermann Wirtz founded the drug company Chemie Grünenthal. Among the many scientists at Grünenthal, one of them was Nazi doctor Heinrich Muchter. After the war, Muchter fled from Poland and found his home there, where he became head of research. Deep in the laboratories of Grünenthal, Muchter and his team managed to create a synthetic drug, thalidomide. They soon realized that the drug had a sedative side effect. In April 1954, Grünenthal obtained a 20-year patent for thalidomide. Testing on animals was brief because Grünenthal wanted to get the drug out on the markets as quickly as possible. Remarkably, the team discovered that no matter how much thalidomide you gave a rat, you could not kill it, and this would become their main marketing catchphrase for thalidomide. After 4 weeks of testing, on July 10, 1956, Germany approved the sale of thalidomide. However, the drug would not go on the market until October 1, 1957. Once the drug went on the German market, under the name Contergan and Contergan Forte, it sold like crazy. Unlike other countries, the drug was available without prescription. Overall, Grünenthal exported thalidomide to over 46 different countries, including Canada, England, and Australia, under names such as Distaval and Kevadan. Throughout 1958 and the following years, Grünenthal marketed the product heavily. Thalidomide sold very well, thanks to the ads placed in medical journals by Grünenthal. Thalidomide was selling almost as well as aspirin in some countries, and Grünenthal was making an immense profit. Credited with the invention of the drug, Heinrich Muchter was receiving a percentage for every pill sold. Grünenthal was selling thalidomide with the English company Distillers in England and the American-based company Richardson Merrill in Canada. It is worth noting that Richardson Merrill did hand out thalidomide to American doctors to give to their patients. On Christmas Day, 1956, a baby girl was born without ears. This little girl was the daughter of a Grünenthal employee who had brought home samples of the new wonder drug for his pregnant wife to help treat her morning sickness. With time, thousands of children would be born with terrifying birth defects called phocomelia.
This frequently produced the severe congenital defects consisting of a condition called phocomelia. And this is characterized by the lack of development of the hands and the feet of persons whose mother had taken thalidomide.
That was Dr. Kyle, a hematologist at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. He recalls the time when thalidomide first hit the markets.
Well, the first question is to be absolutely certain to prevent pregnancy in a person who was on thalidomide.
Peter Hashmal first recalls the time when he saw his daughter, Linda.
They brought Linda through. She has 2 flipper arms. She had a right arm which was done up rather like a watch spring, and 1 good leg, and she weighed just on 2 pounds.
The question remaining was, what do we do with these children now?
We had so wanted a baby. We felt, gosh, we must love her. And in a way, I was lucky because I had actually taught disabled children. And really, she was such an easy baby to feed and look after. We got on with it. And it was the start of a completely different lifestyle, really.
Over 20,000 thalidomide children are born worldwide, many too deformed to survive. And not all deformities could be seen. Studies later showed that if taken during a crucial time in pregnancy, thalidomide could cause autism. Unfortunately, most parents did not look at their children the same way as the Buckles. Most parents sent their children to an institution, gave them away, or in extreme cases, killed their children.
4 accomplices were charged with the murder of the child born without arms.
So why don't we see the effect of thalidomide in the US? Well, for that, you can thank the resilience of Dr. Frances Oldham Kelsey.
Dr. Kelsey was an employee of the FDA, and she requested more toxicity data from the company, Grünenthal, before the FDA would act on that drug, before they would approve it. And then there was a report from a pediatrician in Australia and another one in Germany linking this congenital abnormality, phocomelia, with the taking of thalidomide.
The doctor in Germany was Dr. Wiedekind Lenz, and the doctor in Australia was Dr. William McBride. Dr. Lenz and Karl Hyman Schulte-Hillen, a young lawyer whose son was affected by thalidomide, teamed up and discovered that thousands of other babies were just like his. Dr. Lenz released his reports to Grunenthal, and they withdrew the drug from the markets on November 27, 1961. Dr. William McBride in Australia discovered that thalidomide was causing birth defects on accident by prescribing his pregnant patients with thalidomide. He, too, reported his findings to Grunenthal around the same time as Dr. Wiedekind Lenz.
And it just so happens that my first application was for the drug thalidomide. And I got this because I was new and they thought I should have an easy one to start on.
The information that Richardson Merrill provided questioned Dr. Kelsey, and she thought it was incredibly vague. She turned down their application, but Richardson Merrill continued to pressure her into approving the drug.
We all felt the initial submission was inadequate to show safety. There was considerable discussion, naturally, back and forth about what information they might have about safety and pregnancy. And before the matter got resolved, the word came from Europe of the terrible association between the drug and these very severe birth defects.
Dr. Kelsey was awarded the highest honor given to a civilian in the U.S. by President John F. Kennedy for her resilience and perseverance. Together, Dr. Kelsey and Senator Kefauver passed the Kefauver-Harris Amendments, which tightened and formed new U.S. drug laws. Dr. Kelsey was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame for her service in 2000. Following Lenz's and McBride's reports, Grunenthal withdrew thalidomide from the German market, and distillers in Richardson Merrill followed soon after. However, it would take roughly 6 months for all shelves to be completely rid of thalidomide, and in that time period, mothers continued to take the drug, and it resulted in an additional 45 to 50 thalidomide babies. In 1964, a remarkable discovery was made by Dr. Jacob Shaskin. A patient of his was suffering from severe ENL, or commonly known as leprosy. When given 2 thalidomide tablets, the patient slept for 20 hours, and his sores began to heal when continued on treatment. 6 other patients in the hospital were treated with similar results. As a result of Dr. Shaskin's discovery, thalidomide rose from the ashes. Studies ranging from independent doctors to the World Health Organization all showed that thalidomide was successful in treating leprosy and leprosy symptoms. In a 1994 study, Dr. Robert D'Amato and others in the Children's Hospital at Harvard University published a paper that showed that thalidomide was an anti-angiogenesis drug, which means that it prevents the growth of new blood vessels. This briefly explained why mothers who took thalidomide had deformed babies. The drug prevented the growth of new blood vessels, causing the babies to have short limbs and fused fingers. But it was also the opening to another door. It was the first suggestion that thalidomide could be used to treat cancer. A conference was held to discuss the newly found capabilities of thalidomide. At the conference, doctors from around the world presented their findings about thalidomide.
The drug was found to be helpful in patients who had graft versus host disease after bone marrow transplants.
It was also found that thalidomide could treat symptoms of AIDS and HIV. Kelsey was also there, and her first-person account of thalidomide provided a bridge between the notorious history and its newfound promise. 10 months after the conference, on July 16, 1998, the FDA approved thalidomide for the treatment of leprosy and cancer by Celgene, a New Jersey-based company. The impact of this drug cannot be understood without a sense of grief and pain for what these children and what their families felt. With proper scientific testing, this whole tragedy could have been prevented, but the triumph of the thousands saved by thalidomide would have never occurred. The victims of thalidomide were not only the children, but the families, the mothers who suffered psychological issues, the siblings who never knew their sibling, and the people worldwide whose hearts were touched by their stories. Dr. Taussig reminded the world that, for most people, the story of thalidomide has ended. The tragedy will go on, however, for the infant victims of the harmless sedative and their families for the rest of their lives.